We are officially done with the Real Champions tournament. For some people, they're like, thank God this nightmare is over. But I will have a video out by the time this review is released that I have a conversation with Griever on the Real Champions tournament finals and also talk about the arc and tournament as a whole. So I'll have that in the description or pinned comment. But this chapter is basically a return to form. You know, before the Real Champion tournament, we actually had main characters, guys. And it wasn't Agito. So we have the return of Koga and Ryuki. We even have Oma, Kuroki, and Shen Wulong. And so, even though there was very little action, this is a pretty good chapter, especially towards what happens at the end of the chapter itself, with the return of a character that I expected to come back in the story eventually, just not in the way that he did, to be honest. Let's talk about the chapter itself and go over the breakdown. And the name of this chapter is Thank Goodness. Now, I don't know how this title applies too well to the actual chapter itself, but you'll see what I mean. We start off with Oma getting the update of what has gone down in the Real Champion tournament, and he basically informs Shen Wulong and Kuroki about the fact that yeah, Agito won. And Kuroki is, you know, he's not surprised at all. He's like, yeah, given, you know, Agito's talent, it's no surprise that he ended up winning. While Shen, you know, he's remembering who Agito is, and he's like, oh yeah, that guy who, you know, Kuroki brought with him to come and, well, kill him. Which should make this situation a little bit awkward. I know that most Kengan characters, especially the fighters, tend to be a bit more cool, unless you're on the extreme end and you're just intolerable, basically. But the fact that Shen Wulong is chilling with the person who literally tried to kill him, and he's just chilling, eating food that he has prepared. Cause yeah, Kuroki has prepared some food, and Shen Wulong is eating it. But the interesting thing I find about this entire interaction here is not necessarily that Shen Wulong is eating food that is potentially poisoned. Even though the chances are low, I don't think Kuroki would do something like that. He seems like he likes to kill his targets with, you know, using martial arts. What I find more interesting is that yeah, Kuroki is pretty good at cooking. This goes to show that hey, Kuroki could end up retiring from the assassination business and just become a restaurant guy. Or that he just doesn't need to be in the assassination business at all, because he's actually pretty good at cooking here. Like, that's something that's quite well established. Like, he's even prepared like some rice in the middle of the woods. And Shen Wulong, you know, he's happy. He's like, hey, look, thank you, man. You know, you're being quite nice to me. You know, you're quite welcoming. And Kuroki's like, hey, look, it's cool. It's cool. Like, again, chill vibes, despite the fact that it was probably no more than a month ago when they were going at each other's throats, basically. But then we cut over to Oma, who's thinking that, yeah, I kind of have to fight Wulong because, you know, I have to, but he feels conflicted. You know, he can't bring himself to hate Wulong. And honestly, I think this is a mistake. I'm probably gonna have to end up making a video on this, because this idea that Shen Wulong is not necessarily a bad guy, or that people can't detect how bad of a person he is a little bit weird, considering we have more than enough evidence to conclude that, yeah, look, even if you meet the guy and he doesn't seem that bad, everything around him should show you, hey, look, there's something not right here. But with that, we then cut on over to what is the next day, basically, and Koga and Ryuki, the main characters of this manga that have been gone for a very long time. I think it's been over 20 chapters, if not like 10 chapters, the last time we saw them, and they're sparring against one another. So this is good to see for both of them, and they've probably gotten stronger from this. because everyone is getting stronger at this point. In fact, Kosuke, who was basically around them over the time that they were training, so you know, through the past 2 months, he was there, and he isn't really a fighter, but even he can tell that there's been massive improvement over the past 2 months. So again, big buffs that I am going to be expecting from Koga and Ryuki, especially since at least I think we're probably going to be approaching the tail end of this story, depending on when the second Annihilation tournament is coming up. But Koga and Ryuki probably do need to level up in power a lot more now. Like, they can't stay rookie fighters, right? Like, no. I expect these guys to be top 10 by the end of this series minimum. But when their sparring match is over, so it seems like they might have sparring matches like multiple times a day. And Kosuke, he's not just there to see them sparring. He actually took some time off of whatever job he has to give Koga some information. Now this is where the chapter gets a little bit spicy, because Kosuke, he describes the person that they're looking for, so they're not necessarily disclosing the person's name, probably, you know, to make the huge impact that we see at the end of the chapter. And they say, yeah, this person, you know, he's a madman, or not necessarily a madman, but he's described as basically a crazy asshole. So someone that Koga knows who fits that description. And Koga even replies to this. He's like, oh yeah, I know better than anyone that this is how this person is. And eventually we get to go to see this person almost immediately, and it seems like it's in the back alley somewhere, and this person is sharpening a knife inside what seems to be a garage. I'd put my bets on that it's a garage. And Koga, he finds him and he is happy. He's like, I'm so glad that after all this time that your personality hasn't changed. You are still a piece of shit, and I will enjoy my run back. And the person he is talking to is Yumigahama, and that, so remember way back in the day, after Jose was defeated by Yumigahama, Koga did say that he was going to avenge Jose one day. And so I've always had it at the back of my mind, being like, oh yeah, eventually Koga is gonna be able to beat Yumigahama. Like, he's a milestone. He's literally a milestone in Koga's career, because that's how it was actually set up. The same way with like Zaiji, right? But my man, he still has, well, not still has, like, he has this thing over his head. And I don't know, maybe it's because it's a manga and none of this is real anyway, and some people have like crazy healing factor. I'm surprised that what Misasa did to him has life-lasting impact on him. Like the attack that Misasa landed on his face, that caved his face in, at least the nose part of his face, is still caved in? That is sad, man. That's truly sad. And that's all I can really feel for Yumigahama at this point. Cause I'm like, man, he looks like a madman, yes, but he also kind of looks like a bum. Like, it doesn't help that he wasn't exactly the most cool looking guy, right? But with him introduced, he then asked Koga whether or not Matsudo had actually sent him to go and kill him. So he's thinking, oh yeah, they're gonna send a hit on me and they just sent this kid. But Koga clarifies, nah, they don't care about you anymore. I'm here to just get my run back. It is what it is. You remember what you did? And I'm here to collect dividends, basically. And with that, the chapter actually ends. And yeah, I'm kind of excited for this one. Not too excited, but what I think is going to be interesting to see is just how much Koga has improved over the past 2 months. Can he beat someone who used to be A tier, probably around there, right? Because even Misasa, he beat Yumigahara given a few other conditions that were bizarre for their match, right? I would say Yumigahara was a little bit unlucky, but also a little bit foolish that he didn't take his fight against Misasa too seriously, or didn't really consider the gravity of the situation he was in until it was, well, too late. But I would say he was pretty powerful, all things considered. I would say he was comfortably in A tier, right? And they even said that he had the potential, I think they said he had the potential to be even stronger than Agito, maybe? So if he's capitalized on that potential, hey, that'll be even better, right? Higher up in A tier, basically. And that would just make Koga look all the more better, in my opinion. And so I'm really happy we get to see how strong Koga is, because Yumigahara will now be our benchmark. And yeah, we'll just proceed on with the story from that point on. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the chapter and the breakdown as well. Don't forget to like and sub, and until next time, take it easy.